Did you know that there are brands out there that create none of their own content? In fact, their audience creates nearly all of it for them. For example, I don't know if you've been following Supreme, but a lot of their Instagram videos are made by skaters who are a part of their audience. These skaters aren't Supreme employees and they probably don't even have to pay for it. At most, they are brand ambassadors. And the craziest part is that this content that's made for free gets Supreme an insane amount of sales. And it's all because of the power of community. Hi, I'm Elijah Delport. Today, I'm taking what I've learned and helping clothing brands turn their audience into a community. The reason is simple. I believe customers in community become super fans, and that is three things, F-A-N. F is for faithful, A is for advocates, and N is for nurtured. In other words, if you are able to build a successful community, then you will have more customers that stay for longer and buy more times. Now, why wouldn't you want that? This video is part 5, the last of a series all about how to turn your audience into a community, where I'm breaking down the exact community framework that I've used to do hundreds of hours of coaching with clothing brands just like yours, that has gotten them millions of views and sold out hundreds of garments in less than 90 minutes. And with this framework, you can too. Today, we're talking about empowering the people. To recap what we've gone over in previous lessons up until this point, we first spoke about what makes a community, and how to plan your own community around your clothing brand. Part 2, I shared with you how to find and attract your founding members, the people that will become the loyal customers to your clothing brand community. Part 3 was about giving them the space where they can actually live out and interact with other community members, because that's the defining aspect, I believe, of community. And then in part 4, I shared with you how to monetize that community space. How do you actually start making money from selling your clothing drops to the people that call themselves loyal members of your mission? In this lesson about empowering the people, we're going to be covering 3 main things. First of all, the 2 types of empowerment. It's really integral to understand what the different types are so you can actually outwork them. Secondly, I'm going to be talking about how you can practically apply these methods without lots of resources. You probably don't have the same resources as Supreme, as I shared in the beginning of this episode. So how do you do it as an army of one or a small team? And then finally, the unspoken benefit of community that comes with empowering people. If you get to the end of this video and apply the structure, I promise you'll walk away with everything you need to empower your audience so that you don't even have to do everything yourself. You can take some work off your hands or just increase the output from whatever you're doing right now. And if that's not enough, I have a personalized gift for those that stay to the end of the video that's going to help you take your brand to the next level. More on that in a few minutes. All right, let's get into it. First, what are the types of empowerment? Well, there are 2 main types of empowerment that I will be covering today in this lesson that are relevant to you and your clothing brand. And they are external or real-world empowerment and internal empowerment. I'm going to be breaking these down briefly, and then we're going to look at each one more closely with some specific examples. First of all, external or real-world empowerment is big picture. It's your brand's indirect impact on the world through the customers that wear your clothing and believe in your mission. What are they going to go and do? What are they outworking into the real world? And secondly, there's internal empowerment. So this is anything that has a direct impact on your brand. It's incentivizing the people in your community to actually help in what you're doing, to take some of the workload off your shoulders, or to simply do more. Now let's start with internal empowerment, which is the direct impact on your brand. There are 3 main ways that you can empower your community to have a direct impact on your brand. You can empower them to run your community, create content, or design the garments. In the first community I started, I wanted to empower some of the members to help me run the community, because I decided I can't just be posting in it myself. I need others to start engaging with it too, which would maybe eventually become the admins for the space. So I sent a personalized message to each of the most engaged members in my community saying, here's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And if you believe in it too, I want you to help me by being the community you want to be a part of. All I was doing is empowering them. I was giving them responsibility. I was giving them something to believe in. And it worked because the number of ties between members increased via DMs and comments and posts. It increased dramatically, which in other words, according to our definition or our measurement of strength of a community, created a much stronger space that people were more committed to. And the funny thing that happened as a byproduct of this initiative that I took was that some community members began creating their own community challenges. I remember one in particular. He said, today we're going to start a new thing. We're doing this weekly challenge where we're going to share what we post of the week and we can give each other suggestions on how to improve it. I thought it was amazing. I didn't even have to ask him to start it. He simply did it himself. Why? Because he believed in my greater mission, and I empowered him in part to actually go out and do and be the community he wants to be a part of. So this is one way you could empower your members of your community to have internal direct impact on what you're doing. Empower them to run the community for you. Don't just be in the space all by yourself laboring away. Do that on top of other members contributing in a really big and responsible way. Next, you could empower your community in content creation. One of the biggest obstacles I hear in brand owners that I speak to and in my coaching program is that they don't have the resources or time to create content. Well, number one, I always say find it because your brand relies on it. That's where your customers come from. And number two, I always suggest that they empower their own audience to help them create some of their content. And the way they do that is by turning their customers into ambassadors. This is something that Supreme does really well because a lot of the posts, as mentioned before, that they post on their page aren't even made by them. Supreme's brand ambassadors receive garments for free. They don't have to pay for it. And then they're encouraged to go out and create these skate videos that, by the way, they're already doing with their friends, just wearing the garments. And they send them to Supreme, and Supreme posts a number of them every week or so. So if you want to empower your community in regards to content creation, then simply put it out there. Anyone who wants a free garment and will make content around your big idea. And this is a flywheel now. It's a kind of a positive feedback loop that feeds into itself. That you get people into your community from the content that you post. And then they start posting and creating that content, the people in your community, and then you use that to get more people into the community. And it just goes around and around and around like a positive feedback loop. And if you want to know if this strategy will work for you, then simply do the math. Weigh up the cost of sending free garments to customers or to ambassadors versus the cost of making content. For example, if you had a garment that costs $15 to make, and there was $2 in packaging and $3 in shipping. It's roughly a $20 cost in creating that garment. Say the agreement is to send out one garment per month to your brand ambassadors. They don't have to pay for it, you cover the costs, and they make at least 2 pieces of content a month that you would go on and post. $20 divided by 2 is $10 it's costing you per video that they make. And by the way, that's just money cost, not even much time compared to what it might take to create that video. My question is for you, how many customers might you get from one video? Heck, probably at least one. If you get a few people that follow along, maybe someone at some point will buy one of your garments. As long as you're making more than $10 profit per order, that's more than the cost of the video. You're dreaming. This is amazing. And there's no reason not to do it because you're on the green. Finally, you can internally empower your community through designing the garments, your product itself. I had a guy in my coaching program and he had a thing called the Design Initiative. He put it out there that anyone who wants to design but has never been given the opportunity to create their own collection or clothing brand, the time is now. And so people could submit their designs and they had the chance to win their design, if it was the best, on one of his latest collections. And this was a win-win situation because he was giving an opportunity to those that had never been able to or have the resources to create their own t-shirts, to put their design on it, and he didn't have to design it himself. The challenge from this story is to think of ways that you can offer value that isn't money. You may not have the money or the funds to hire a designer if you don't enjoy it or you are not a designer yourself. However, if you can deliver value in some other way, maybe that's enough, and use the community to do so. That's one of the benefits of having a community, so use them. With all this in mind, why would you even want to build a community? Well, there's simply two reasons, I believe. It's either you don't want to do it and they do it for you, or you want to do more of it and they do it with you. And so if you think about where am I on these topics, on either running the community, on creating content, on designing garments, do you want to do it? Do you not want to do it? Do you empower them to do it for you, or do you simply empower them to do it with you? So here's your action step. If you want to internally empower your customers, ask yourself, what's the biggest time vampire in my business? The time vampire meaning the biggest time suck. What are you spending and sinking the most time into that you don't really need to be or you don't want to be? Okay, now we've fully covered the internal empowerment. Let's look at the external or real world empowerment of your community. And so this is your brand's indirect impact on the world. Fight Club is one of my favorite films of all time. And if you haven't seen it, just imagine a dungeon underneath a shop front, and inside there is this group of guys who are just punching each other up. Literally they have a fight club. Well, the leader of the fight club at the end in one of the scenes gives all the members homework. He says, okay, this week, your task is to go away and start a fight with a random person on the street, which is so random. And this is what I mean by external empowerment. Now, don't miss my point here, because I'm not saying that you should go and empower your audience to start a fight on the street. But the point is that you can complete your greater mission through those who are passionate about your brand. Just like in the Fight Club film, those that were passionate about the Fight Club, the leader could complete his mission through them as they go out and he outworks his vision into the world, and so can you in your clothing brand. So there are three main ways that you can empower your community to go and work in the real world. The first is through charity and financially supporting good causes. A good example of this type of external empowerment is the brand Homie. On their website, they say 100% of profits go towards our mission of supporting young people affected by homelessness or hardship. Great. They've got a charity. If you buy the garments, you are supporting the charity. And this is one of the ways that they're using their impact to outwork the greater mission and vision in the world. The second way is by setting homework. Maybe you want to take the approach like the leader of Fight Club, where you say to your members, hey, go out and do this. And this links very nicely into the third way, which is community challenges. An example of this for a mental health brand would be call a friend. This week, take some time, just take 10 minutes out of your day on a Monday to just call some people that come to mind that you haven't spoken to in a while. Or another one is for an outdoors brand, go on a hike. And if you don't have anyone to go with, go alone. And this is a fantastic way to, again, outwork your vision into the world and have a greater purpose beyond your brand that's in line with what your brand's big idea is. And it all comes down to this. When you empower your people for the greater good, your community becomes a movement. If we remind ourselves of the community matrix that I introduced in part 1, an audience is interaction in isolation between the brand and the customers. Community is when interaction really becomes when customers begin forming ties between each other. And finally, a movement is when the brand empowers the community to outwork the vision into the world. They actually start moving and it goes beyond just themselves. And this brings us to the final part of the discussion. It's the fourth unspoken benefit of community. We know about the three that I've said is that customers in community become fans, faithful, they turn down other logical better options, advocates, they are word of mouth vessels for your brand, and nurtured, they're repeat buyers that come back again and again and again. Finally, and this is one that I haven't added, I probably could have, but here it is now, satisfaction. There is a deep fulfillment in yourself and in your brand when you are making true positive change through the work that you're doing. I believe that any chasing of money is trying to get to this point of fulfillment. We can just cut to the chase. We can simply jump to the fulfillment part by creating a community of ourselves and empowering them to go out and outwork the vision that we desire to see come to pass in this world. I know this thinking is big picture for many people, but it comes down to, what do you want people to say about you on your funeral bed? Are they going to remember the products you sold, or are they going to remember the community that you built? We've gone over a lot in this lesson, and some pretty deep stuff as well at the end. Let's recap it all. First of all, there are two main types of empowerment: internal and external. It's the difference being internal has a direct impact on your brand. External is the indirect impact you have on the world. It's only when external empowerment happens that you can turn your community into a movement, something that goes greater and beyond just yourself. So if this is inspiring you, here's your action step today to actually start making something happen. Stop planning and start doing. Most good ideas die in planning, so actually try the things out that I'm sharing, and if it doesn't work, try something else. I like the quote from Elon Musk that says, if you're gonna fail, fail quickly. And this is more of a reflection or action step on everything that I've gone over in the last 5 parts. And so please, just actually do something. You could be like most of the people that are gonna watch this video and do absolutely nothing, but don't do that. Your clothing brand success lies on the other side of execution, and execution in making and cultivating a community. So start putting this stuff into practice, and I promise you're going to feel more fulfilled than ever. Your customers are going to be more faithful than ever, more advocates of your brand, and more nurtured repeat buying. Finally, thank you genuinely for watching this 5-part series and sticking with it through me until the end. If anything that I've said in the last 5 parts has resonated with where you want to take your brand and the direction into the future, then please book in your free community roadmap session. We're going to sit down and we're going to actually figure out where you are right now, where you want to go, and how to get there with the power of community. Essentially just personalizing everything that I've gone over in this series up until this point to you and your brand. So there's a link in the description of this video that you can click. It'll take you to my online calendar and you can book in that call for free. It's totally free, I promise. There's no catch, it's just value. Well, that's all from me. I'm Elijah Delport. If you've enjoyed, subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. Oh, I'm tired. Takes it out of you, hey?